Hello, everyone, and I hope that you all are doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about herbal first aid, and I do want to put out a couple of disclaimers. First, all of the information is for educational use. Always, you always want to check with a physician before you take any new drug or herb or treatment. Also, the information that I'm giving today is for a supplement. So you do want to make sure that you have your own first aid kit. That is very important. And you can have additional items that we're going to talk about today as a supplement. Sorry, I'm just trying to do a bunch of different things. And I will look down because I do have notes and I will take timestamps. I also want to mention that I do have a download that you can get for free for 48 hours. I'm having it. After that, you'll actually have to opt in to be able to download it. But the link is in the description. And everything that we're going to talk about today is already linked in the description as well. All of the books and things that I'm going to mention. So you're going to want to check that out down below. Okay. So why even have some herbal first aid kit? Why would you want to have this? One thing that I find is that you never want to be in a position where you need something and then you have to go and get it. Especially when it comes to medical wise, you want to make sure that you have things. When you're sick, you're not going to feel like even making or cooking or doing all these things. So it's best if you have these things already prepared for you as easy as possible. So it'll be easier for you to do it and easier for you to comply. You also want to have these things so you already know what you need to do in an emergency situation. We know that every second counts. And even while you're waiting on a medical professional to get to you, an ambulance or etc., it is good if you can do things just to help to sustain you until that help gets there. So there's so many different reasons why it is important. So we're going to be going down different needs that you may have or different ailments and all of that. And we'll talk about some of the herbal remedies. So some of the first things before I get into the herbs, some things that I think that you should have in your arsenal already are going to be labels. Labels are important. Why? Because you want to make sure that you have labels on everything. Not even, sometimes we say, oh, I know what that is. But if someone else is in your kitchen and you tell them to go get it, you want to make sure you have really good labels, and you even want to notate what it's for on it. So many times I've given people things and then they forget what it's for. My mom is notorious for that. She has all kinds of stuff and she'll say, what's that for again? What's that for again? And I find that she asks me, 3 or 4 times. And so it's good to have it written down. And, let's say you're not there and your spouse or anybody that's in your home has an issue. You want them to be able to have everything accessible to them as well. So having labels, I linked some down below. I actually found some really nice color coded ones. So you could color code them for specific needs. Like you can have red for things that are really dire, like are bleeding or burns or things like that. So you could color code it however you need. So I think that is a really good option. So I did link one of those down below. Next, you want to have a quick guide like what I have, which you can actually download, is a quick guide so that you know, because if you're a beginner herbalist, or even if you're not an herbalist, but you would like to have some other options, because the price of medicines can go up at any moment and the availability can be gone at any moment as well. So you just want a little bit control. Whatever your reason is, it is good to have a quick reference guide like what I prepared and like what I'm going to go through. If you don't want to go onto the site and download it, then you can just take notes as well. Type it up so that not only do you have it, but everyone in your home is able to read and use it. You also want to have dropper bottles. I know that I have one right here. I did link some amber dropper bottles. Now there are some that are clear. There's blue, there's green. I prefer this dark color because it's going to keep the light out. It's going to preserve the medicine inside for long-term use. The dropper bottle as well, it's just a little bit easier to have a few drops at a time. You can make sure you have the right dosage. So I do like these as well. So I did link some of those down below, and I think that everyone should have some of those so that, let's say you have syrup or something and someone's not feeling good, instead of giving them all that you have, to have some little bottles like that are going to be portable. All right. And then also little tins, and I did link some down below. If you're going to make any kind of salves or balms, that is going to be really good to have those little small tins. I prefer to have small tins instead of one big jar. Again, so you can have them, I like to keep them in different vehicles and, upstairs, downstairs. So if you break it up into smaller portions, you have it for multiple parts of the home. So all of those things are really good. And those are some of our materials. I also have here, depending where you live, if you live in the South and things like ticks or chiggers and things like that are a problem for you, I also linked down some tick removers. I think that these are really good to have. One time, my husband got a tick that jumped on him when he was doing like some bushes. Whenever you're in those wooded areas, they're good to have. So I just have just a little remover here, and this is just a card. I'll show really quickly of how it works. This one I actually got. I love to keep the prices on so I can see how much I paid. I only paid $2.88 for a 3-pack of them. And so again, you have multiple, and this can actually go on your keys. So I link one just like this. So if that is something that you have to worry about, or maybe not even for you, but for your dog or something like that, that's another thing that should be on your list. I don't have some of the other things here. A splinter remover is called Splint Remover, the one that I have and the one that I linked. And that's really useful. Now, it can be a little bit painful using it, but it's better than using tweezers or not being able to get it out. So that's really good. But some of that, we'll talk about one of the options for herbs that you can use as well. I also like calamine lotion. Now, I wasn't able to find one that had really good ingredients, but I do like it just to, if you have any kind of itchiness. Now, calamine actually comes from mineral. And so that's why I find it useful, but just try to get one as natural as you can. I don't know if you can actually get just calamine and make your own cream, but that might be something to look into, something that's really good to have when you have those itchy rashes. I find that it's really top par of how, depending on, as opposed to some other things and how it works. And then also aloe vera gel. I just feel like everyone should have it. It's so multi-purpose, but we'll get more into that. Oh, and the last thing is gauze. But like I said, you want to have a first aid kit that's going to have your gauze, your Band-Aids, and all of those things. You really still need all of those things in addition to what we're going to be talking about. Okay. All right. So first, burns. Let's talk about burns. There are a lot of different options that you can use. One that I'm going to be making soon is actually using calendula, which is used for burns, and mixed with St. John's wort. That's probably like one of our top plants for burns. The funny thing about St. John's wort is that you actually can use it on your skin when you have a burn, but it's said that it can increase photosensitivity. So if you're using it on your skin, it can make you more susceptible to the sun. Some people say that that's not true, but most sources will say that it does give photosensitivity, but it is used topically for burns along with calendula. I would say those are the top herbs. And so I'm actually going to make a salve with it, but I'm going to whip it with aloe vera gel. Aloe is known for burns as well, especially sunburns. So that's one option that I really like. You can have all of those separate. So you can have it in a salve, or you can have it on an oil as well, but it depends on what type of burn it is. Also, I want to mention, everyone has this probably in their kitchen, and that's baking soda. And baking soda is actually used for chemical burns, so like gasoline. And so baking soda is very alkaline, and you can mix it with some cold water. So when you put it on your skin, it's cooling as well. And it does help with the chemical burn. So really good option as well. Let me go ahead and take a timestamp. All right, so now we're going to talk about congestion. One of the options that I like is a chest rub. And so you can actually buy this. So chest rubs are really inexpensive. The one that I purchased for my children was just all essential oils and like oil and beeswax. It's very easy to make at home, and you have so many options on the herbs that you can use in it. You can actually get one for like $4. So I'll go ahead and link the one that I liked. But if you're making your own, some of the herbs that you might want to use is eucalyptus. So you can use an infused oil, or you can use essential oil. And like camphor is another good one. But you can have, there's so many different oils that are good for congestion. So you can use like a frankincense or myrrh. If you have those, you can use sandalwood. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. I don't think I had a section just on congestion, but we'll talk about it. I say one thing that you really need to know how to do is an onion or garlic poultice. If you've ever heard of just putting onions in your sock while you go to sleep, it's pretty much the same thing, but you can actually put a poultice on your chest. You just want to be careful because just as when you're cutting an onion, it makes you cry, it can be really harsh on the skin. So you can make it with garlic or onion. So garlic is thought to be stronger and more potent, but I would use an onion one first because garlic can really burn the skin. So you just want to make sure when you're doing this poultice that you have enough layers so that you have a barrier between the garlic and your skin. But it works very well. You do that and, you do that through the night. And when you wake up, you shouldn't have an issue with congestion. Another thing is cramps. I feel like cramps or bloating or anything that has to do with any kind of spasming, as they call it, in the stomach or in the gut is one of the easiest things. Menstrual cramps, even, it's like one of the easiest things to remedy with herbs. So there's just like an unlimited list of the different things that you can use. But some that I listed are mints. Mints are very common in most people's gardens or kitchens, and just any kind of mint, any variety of mint. And you can use it in a variety of ways. That's one thing I wanted to make sure that I do. So I'm reminding myself to tell you guys what preparation you want to use. So for the mint, a tea is good, or a tincture is good too. Like, we'll talk a little bit more about some more pain. But yeah, so for things like cramps, I think a tea of a mint is easy. That's like a less than 10-minute steep, but it might be good to have one of these in a tincture as well if you're having really bad pains and you need to stop it quicker. That's one of the benefits about tinctures, is that they get into the bloodstream immediately. So you can feel relief much faster than it takes to actually make a tea and then, take enough of the tea as well. Another plant, motherwort, that is in the mint family as well. I listed motherwort because I'm going to talk about motherwort again as we go further down. So if you have motherwort already, because of the other uses, it's just letting you know that you can use motherwort for this too. Another one would be yarrow. Yarrow I'm going to talk about later on too. So it's multi-purpose. I don't want, you guys just getting one herb and using it in one way. So the herbs that I'm picking are ones that you can use in multiple ways as well. Chamomile. Most people have chamomile used for teething as well, for teething for children as well. And also for colic, it can be used too. And so can mint for a colic as well. So that's just basically the same thing, but if a baby is having the stomach troubles, you can use that. And all of those can be used as teas, extract, tinctures. Even you can even rub oil on your belly, and that would probably help as well. All right. Let's talk about the next one. So the next one is diarrhea. So I'm just going to there's so many different herbs you can use in this category as well. I would say one of the top remedies is actually blackberry root. So just if you have a blackberry, like you can find wild blackberries are very common to be able to use some of the root. But if you grow blackberries in the garden and you know that they are sourced and they weren't sprayed or anything before you got them, you can also use some of the root in a pinch. But I would say the wild blackberries might be a little bit better. But that's one of the best remedies that you can use for that. Or any kind of herb that is drawn, like astringent herb. So any kind of herbs that are called diuretic herbs, you can use those too. And those will help alleviate diarrhea. Next, disinfecting wounds. I think that that's really important. And this is something that I like to keep. Well, we're going to talk about one of the options that are called liniments. I like to keep that under the kitchen sink or in the kitchen and all the bathrooms, and keep it in the garage as well. And you can also keep it, if you have, like in my car, I have like a little to-go bag and it has all different types of things packed. And so you might want to keep some of that on you to go as well. So what is a liniment? A liniment is actually very similar to a tincture. You actually make it the same way, but it's used with rubbing alcohol or isoproxol alcohol instead of the regular grain alcohols that we use for tincture. So this is external use only. So that's the big difference. But it is used to disinfect wounds. You can use it for pain and sprains and different things like that. And so they're really handy to have, but you need to make them beforehand. So that's pretty much the purpose of this video. Is just giving you options, and you don't need to get all of these herbs, but maybe choose one or two, because they say, one is none and two is one. So just have different options. So this is the way I want you to use that download. Is it has one of the herbs listed. So you have to watch the video and take notes, because I want you to be proactive, and you're more likely to do it if you take the effort to write it down. Write different options, and then you go and circle which option you choose. And then I actually have a section for you to keep up with your inventory as well. I thought that would just be helpful. So not only do you write and make a plan of all this, but then you have a list whenever you actually make all of these different things. Okay. So a liniment is very useful. You can also use a drawing salve. So that's when you have like dirt and debris. You might want to use a drawing poultice, or you can also use a salve. One of the best herbs for that would be plantain or plantago, and there's different varieties of it that we use, which is plantago lanceolata, or broadleaf plantain, which is plantago major. And then also you can just use a tincture of an herb that's, antibacterial, antifungal, or antiseptic. And so for that, I really just like to use my echinacea tincture, and we'll talk about echinacea again. So it's just, again, one of those herbs that's multi-purpose, and that's really what I tried to do to make it really easy for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to take a little pause, and I'll be right back.
If you want to join in on today's discussion and you want to support the channel, go ahead and subscribe and then click that join button. For as little as $1.99 a month, you get early access to new videos, exclusive members only playlists, and member only live chats. For $4.99, you actually get $5 off of each of my books, so it's essentially free, discount on everything in my store, photo and status updates, and you get to join me on live stream so we can talk face to face. On the family level, you get access to my herbalism live streams and exclusive herbalism videos that you won't have on the other tiers. So what does the members only playlist consist of? Right now, there are 44 different videos in there. Some of them include a breakdown on virus-proofing your health, using herbs daily and showing what it's like in the garden, a garden update, what are adaptogens, what are alternative herbs, how to make a tincture of lemon balm, and also showing how to identify lemon balm, how to make tinctures of various different herbs for absent or heavy periods, what are anodynes, some of my favorite essential oils, including a lecture over an hour long teaching the introduction to herbs. So that's really wonderful for beginner herbalists. All kinds of information, even previews into my course, like my video about dandelions or where to purchase herbs. Also showing how to make my lemon ginger sea salt scrubs. I am known for my sugar scrubs, how to make lip balm, and so much more. So you'll get a sneak peek into all of these videos that never made it and will never be on my channel as well.
Okay, so thank you guys for bearing with me. All right, so we're up to poisons. All right, so there are different options and different methods that you might want to use if, let's say, and I have to be cautious on saying, like, let's say your child takes something poisonous, but there are some herbs that can be used if you take something and that it was poisonous or it wasn't good. Like, let's say you even took something that was some food and it was spoiled or expired or something like that. One of the options is activated charcoal. So activated charcoal is just a binder, so it binds the toxin. So when you actually take it, you'll notice that your stool is black and the toxins come out with it. So that's actually going to be like one of the I would say, it's not the best option, because you still have to have it be digested through the system. But it is an option if you know that you had toxins and waste in your food. It can be a preventative measure. Also, another option, which, some people might not think is a good option, is to not even digest it, to actually vomit it up or to bring it up. So you can use an herb that would be called an emetic. And so one of the options for that is lobelia. So it just makes you actually throw up, and just in larger quantity. So you can actually use like a lobelia in that instance. Of course, that's, some people wouldn't think that that's the best option, but it is sometimes better than actually taking something that's poisonous that can harm you. Then the last option that I wanted to give is actually milk thistle. And you want to get a standardized extract with this, or it would be a tincture if you're making it. It would just need to be a strong tincture. And it actually helps to protect the liver, which is one of our organs that does help to filter out the toxins and waste. And so it can be beneficial. And it was actually found that if you took like a death cap mushroom that's poisonous, that taking milk thistle can actually be beneficial as well. So when you're doing those options, you still want to seek medical help. But this is just something that may be a little bit helpful. Like, how they say contact poison control or whatever, and you're trying to get help. But it's just something to take in the interim. The next option I want to talk about is headaches. And I know that is, and headaches and migraines, I'll put them both in the same category. I'll just talk about this quickly. I actually have a video, and I'll make sure I go ahead and link the video down below. But some options would be wood betony. Now, wood betony is actually used for when you have like a injury to the skull or to the head, and so it's used for concussions as well. So it's one of the top extracts that I would have on hand if you're a person that is prone to any of the things that I just mentioned. You can also have like a roller ball of different essential oils, one of them being lavender. Lavender is probably one of the most popular to be used in a roller ball for headaches. And I find that lavender actually does work pretty well. I prefer to use a lavender tincture. It does have a little bit more bitterness, but I find that it works really well. And you'd be surprised that some of the herbs that are easy to find like that and that we're really familiar with can actually be pretty strong. Another option is a plant called lime flower. And I think we're going to talk about lime flower later on, but it has been known to help with headaches as well. And it has properties that are good for, that are useful or beneficial for the heart. So it might be another good option as well. And then the last one that I just added, and this is another category where there's so many different herbs that you can use. But I personally like to use California poppy. I find that it works really well. I use it actually before going to sleep. I think I talked about this in another video, but I'll just say it again with the thought that it might be redundant. But I do like to use it like if I need to turn my brain off before I go to sleep, if my brain is really active, or if I have a feeling of pressure on my head when I'm trying to go to sleep or anything like that, then I find that California poppy is really helpful. All right, the next one is heart attack. This is something I say really important. So you want to make sure that you get your ears peeled on this one and make sure you remember this. If you don't remember anything else, this is an herb that's in the kitchen, and this is something that can definitely save a life. So something that you really want to know. And many of us have people in our family that have high blood pressure or risk of some of the things that we're talking about. And so you want to use cayenne pepper. I would say that would be the number one thing that I would use. And this is actually if a person's having a heart attack, you want to get about maybe a fourth of a teaspoon or maybe even a half a teaspoon if you can, and use cayenne powder and put it underneath their tongue. And it helps to thin the blood and to actually can help stop a heart attack. So it is really important that you remember that remedy. And most of us have cayenne pepper. So all I would say is if that is a concern for you and you really want to have that, make sure that's one of the herbs that is easy for you to reach. Some of our spice cabinets is hard to even find what we're looking for. You want to make sure you go ahead and get your spice cabinet organized and just make it easier for you. And make sure you have that cayenne really close by as well. We're going to talk about cayenne powder later. So it is one that you definitely need to have. Even if you're saying, oh, I don't necessarily like or use cayenne powder, it is good to get yourself a little jar of it. The next one I'm going to talk about is heart palpitations, and that's just when your heart is beating really fast. And I've used this herb that I'm going to talk about for this very reason. My heart was just pounding really fast, and it was just actually because I had took like a lot of I ate a bunch of this chocolate, and the caffeine must have gotten to me until where it made my heart beat really fast. And so what I did was I used a motherwort, and I actually used an extract of it, not even a tincture, and it was really beneficial for me. Motherwort does have a lot of wonderful benefits for the heart, and it is used, but of course you want to consult with a physician first, and you want to do your due diligence and do your own research. But it also is used for strengthening the heart and also for having an impact on blood pressure. So it is an herb that you might want to look into as well. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to take a break and look at some of these books, and I'm going through this really quickly today. But I want to talk about hemorrhaging. So that's just when you are bleeding like excessively. There's a number of different remedies that you can use. Now, if you're bleeding because you have a wound, you can also use cayenne powder again on the wound. Now, I actually use this on my son for his foot. Like if you have, like for children, they may be moving around or not know how to hold their arm or to keep their body taut so that so that they can stop the bleeding or give the body some time to actually coagulate. Or you may have children that freak out, which would be my daughter freaks out if they get hurt, and so they may be, it just may be harder. So it may just be easier just to put some cayenne powder or yarrow powder, which is the other one I want to talk about, on the wound. So both of those will actually stop excess bleeding from a wound, but they can also be used just to stop a wound from bleeding and give you time enough to, get your rubbing alcohol out or get your peroxide out or get your bandages opened and all of that. So it just buys you time. So I really like to use them for that purpose. I've actually used yarrow oil for this purpose as well, like a yarrow infused oil, and that works for me as well. So that's another good option that you might want to consider. And I did talk about yarrow before. So if you know that you're using it in multiple ways, definitely keep it in your arsenal. Make that one of the top herbs to get. And the last one I want to mention, and this is more for women for bleeding, like maybe for a menstrual cycle. Ladies' mantle. Ladies' mantle is actually used also like after giving birth. If the mother is hemorrhaging, they use lady mantle. You can use that in a tincture. And that could be very beneficial as well. But you could use it as a tea. But of course, if it isn't a dire situation, you want to use a tincture. So if you decide to get any of these herbs, maybe have them in multiple different preparations as well. All right, so I'm going to take a break and mention some books now. All right, so I only have 3 different books that I wanted to mention. The first one is called The Natural First Aid Handbook by Bridget Mars. It has a lot of great reviews, and I did link it down below. This is a very inexpensive book. I want to say it's less than $10 shipped to you if you do have Amazon Prime. I'll show you guys a few pages inside. It is a black and white. Doesn't really have many pictures. And it's I wouldn't say it's like a pocket book, but it is pretty it's a pretty small size, a good reference size, I'd say. Let me make sure you guys can see everything. And so so we talked about diarrhea. It tells you, let's see, seek immediate medical attention if, and then while you wait for medical attention, and then at home first aid, they list carrot powder. They also list green clay, and they also list herbal teas. And the first one that they recommend was blackberry leaf and then blackberry root. So that's what we talked about. And I actually didn't look through this. They also listed strawberry leaf. And actually, strawberry leaves do have medicinal benefits, and that may be a little bit more common in gardens. So that is a good one to add on. So that's the first book. Let me see a little bit. It also has a spot in the front for you to list some emergency numbers, which I think is really good. The emergency numbers that they list, if you want to write this down and keep this on your reference for yourself: fire, gas company or public service, phone company, poison control, police, and then your address and phone number. So I guess if someone finds the book, they can also do that as well. So I think that that's really helpful as well. They also have an A to Z guide to ailments and injuries, first aid techniques, stocking a first aid kit, how to make and use herbal medicine. So I would say this is a really good book. I would say if you don't get any of the other ones, that this one might be the one that you should get. All right, the next one is the First Aid Manual, and this is by DK Publishing. One of the things that I love about all of their books is that they have really good color photos. Really good for beginners. It says the step-by-step guide for everyone. Okay, and this is a 5th edition. So, for instance, I just opened to this page. It says the heart and blood vessels, and you can see the pictures that they have. Really good quality and tons of different pictures in color, which I think is really useful. So this is how to use an AED, and here they're showing you. So if you're a person who's very visual, I would say this would be the one for you, because the other one was black and white and didn't have very many pictures, probably had a dozen or less. And this one, you're going to find pictures all throughout. I'm trying to show. And it looks like it's giving you information about the different body parts as well. So definitely, I would say look into this book. Again, this is the First Aid Manual by DK Publishing. Step-by-step guide. It literally shows you pictures for each of the steps. So it's a really good book. The last one I want to mention, and this is actually not a beginner book, but I feel like it's a good mention because if you are an herbalist and you are familiar with a little bit about herbs, as far as their scientific names, especially, then this is actually might be a good book for you. So this book is the Earthwise Herbal Repertory, and this is by Matthew Wood. Excuse me. This is probably the most expensive out of all the books, but this is not going to give you herbal information or anything like that. Basically, it's expecting you to know this. This is for practitioners. But the reason why I'm mentioning it is because it's literally just a reference. And you go in there and it tells you a list of herbs. So a lot of times people are saying, what herb for this, what herb for that. And that's literally all that this book is mostly. And not only that, it gets really specific. So, okay, so we have a section that says, okay, let's see. Let me just go to anything. Okay, so we have bronchitis here, right? So it has a list of herbs, and then it says, like, if you have spasming with bronchitis, if you have inflammatory and it's dry, if you have, let's see, it's chronic, if it's acute, it's dry and it's hot, if there is a stuffy sensation in the chest, if there's weakness. So you can literally go and tailor it exactly to what you need. You look at an ailment, but then it breaks it down, and you can really find out which herb might be the best one for you. And so that's why I do recommend it. I think that it is really good. And the thing is, if you are not really familiar with herbs, you may just have to have a reference of Latin to English names to be able to figure out the different herbs. And then you may need a book to tell you how to make different preparations. But I do think that this one is a notable mention. So it's the last one that I'm mentioning, but it is great nonetheless. All right, I want to take a pause really quickly just to share my screen, because I want to let you guys know that I have some upcoming, this is actually on my website. These are the classes that I have coming up. This one right here, the Kitchen Crash Course, and it's Herbs for Pain Management. This one is a free course. A free class that's coming up. And you can RSVP for all of these. I have another one of tinctures. So I'm talking about a lot of tinctures. If you want to know about tinctures and you want to actually make tinctures with me, so you bring all your materials, you make it with me, you ask me your questions, you can be on camera or you can come on voice. And I'm going to give you notes and everything. So all of these classes come with notes. So that's why you really want to get onto the classes versus coming and just hearing information. If you are having notes to take with you, you're more likely to actually retain some of this knowledge that you're getting. So definitely that is tincturing, talking about dosaging, why you should use them, who shouldn't use them, etc. I have another one, women's wellness, that's coming up. So this is all the different stages of life, and we're talking about how herbs can be used, and as well as some disorders like fibroids, PCOS, or and even cancer, uterine cancer. We're going to be talking about all those different things. That'll be a really good class. I also have, this one is another free one. And let me just point out, these classes are only $10. Basically, you're not even paying for the notes. They're really good. It's basically giving it away. So I'm giving all this information away. I want you guys to take advantage of it. Okay. This one's a free one as well. This is a self-care session. So it's just us girls coming together and doing self-care together. So I really look forward to this one. Make sure you sign up for all of the ones that interest you. And then we have one about detoxing. People, that's such a big thing now, detoxing and cleaning the colon and all of that. So that's what we're going to be talking about as well. I'm telling you, make sure you sign up for all these classes. You can get them on herhealthyhome.co/events. Okay. All right. So let's go back and let's talk about the last things that I'm going to mention. Let me take a timestamp. All right. So next, it's good to have something to stimulate the immune system. The reason why you might want to have this is, let's say you are out in the store or something and someone sneezes on you, or, your children going out to school, and then you get a call that someone had, I don't know, and I don't want to say, a virus or something. Or, just if you feel a scratchy throat or any of the symptoms that you might be having, a cold or flu coming on, it's good then to take the initiative to try to take an immune stimulant. That's going to stimulate the immune system, but hopefully it will cause your immune system to fight the bacteria or the virus so that you don't actually have to get an infection. That would be the goal. So the number one, I talked about echinacea before. I talked about it to be used for disinfecting wounds. I do use it in that purpose, but it also is one of my go-to immune stimulants as well. So a lot more people are growing echinacea, also known as coneflower. So it's really good if you have a tincture of it. You can also make a syrup. So like an elderberry syrup is used, but I don't like to take elderberries without taking echinacea with it. They're thought to make each other, to make the result, they're more potent together so they work really synergistically. They work really well together. So I like to always add echinacea with elderberry because they do different things. One is really kind of stimulating the immune system, and one is actually protecting the cells from infection. So when you put that two together, it's a match made in heaven. The next one I would talk about is laxatives. And so there's plenty of different laxatives, and there's different types of laxatives. Personally, for something quick, I would say I like castor oil. One, because a lot of people probably have, a lot of people have, number one, this is the herb you're going to have the most access to because you can find this in a Walmart, Target, wherever. Castor oil is sold usually in a small bottle. Now, you're going to pay more for it by getting a small bottle. But if you're not going to use it for other purposes, then I would say definitely get castor oil. Now, castor oil is, you don't want to use castor oil all the time. And it does sometimes take a little bit of time to work. The other thing I would say too is if you're a person that just always struggles with constipation, then it'd be good to add dried fruit to your diet. Add in some dried plums or some prunes would be really good. And to have prune juice. Way back in the day, I don't know how many years ago, maybe like 7 years ago or so, I used to always keep some prune juice, and I would actually get it from Dollar Tree. So Dollar Tree is now $1.25, but that's while you're getting other preps that you can get while you're at Dollar Tree, pick up some prune juice. So that's something that's really helpful as well. And I feel like it works, not instantly or anything like that. They take time, but maybe about 4 hours or so, it might be beneficial. Another one that I like to have. So whenever I'm thinking of laxatives, I usually like to give options that are not like irritating laxatives. Like most of our laxatives that we talk about are actually irritating, and they're stimulating. They make, they make you have a bowel movement, and it can be painful. I like to go the um I don't know, the less, I don't know the right word, but I like to use herbs that are a little bit more gentle. I guess that's what I'm going for. I like to go the more gentle route first, and if you need something stronger, then use it. So I like to use like a marshmallow leaf with a bitter herb, and the marshmallow leaf is just really like slippery, so it could just help things kind of slip and slide and get out of the body. But then also having a bitter herb that stimulates the digestive process. And so they can just work again together, synergistically, and help you to have a bowel movement. I don't have the book here. In Everyday Herbs, I have called Gentle Push. And it is a real gentle, it's not really like a laxative tea, but it can be just a little boost that you need to get your body going. So I really like those really simple formulas. Some other herbs, these are the irritating laxatives. And if you're taking them, you want to add these herbs with something like I mentioned before, like the ones that are used for cramps, because once you're forcing a bowel movement, you're kind of, a lot of times it can give you really painful cramps. So add like a senna is one of the herbs. There's senna pods and there's senna leaf. And then there's also another herb called Cascara Sagrada. And those are ones that you can count on to make you have a bowel movement because they make you. And you don't want to use any of these all the time because your body can get really dependent on it. And you want your body to do the work. Okay. Let's see. Next, for pain. So pain, of course, that's really important. And when you have pain, you just want it to stop. There's an I think what I may have listed it when you're thinking of pain, you want to have several different remedies for different body parts. So like headache is one type of pain and migraine is one type of pain affecting one part of the body. But you also want to have something for, back pain, maybe something for joint pain and inflammation. So there's different remedies that you can do. I threw something in here that you may not be familiar with called flower essences. Now, I don't really love the phrase or the term flower essences, but I'm not going to get on the soapbox about why I don't love it right now. But there is a company called Box that's the most popular when it comes to flower essences. And they have one that's called Rescue Remedy. And you actually would use this like if you had like trauma. So like actually going through a car accident or something, you can actually take it and it helps to calm you down and help you deal with the stress. So I just threw that in there that might be something good to have if something like that happens, or even, like let's say, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but like if you get mugged or something, it might be something good to take also, to really calm you down. Hold on one second. Ma? Oh. I'm sorry. My husband's calling me. I'm going to tell him to call my mom. Okay. I'm almost done though. Then we also have valerian. I like to have valerian because valerian is useful, like if you're having pain, but also if you want to get to sleep. So sometimes, like if you're the worst time when you're sick is usually falling asleep at night. And so valerian is useful for not only helping you with sleeping, but also to relax the body. So I think a valerian tincture is one that is really good to have. And I like mentioning valerian because it is one of our remedies that is cheaper. All right. And then sleep. So we just talked about one of them for sleep. And I did mention valerian again. Another herb that I think is really good, but you want to have these in tinctures. Valerian, you don't have to have in a tincture, but it is kind of bitter, where hops is very bitter. So I would have it in a tincture or an extract, but it's very powerful for helping you to go to sleep. And I did just do a live stream a week ago or less about sleep. So I'll make sure I link that live stream again. All right. So it doesn't look like I have any questions or anything like that. So I will see you guys hopefully soon. I have a live plan on Sunday. I do recommend that you guys become a channel member because all of my lives are going to be members only so that I can get through these lives quicker. And if you have questions, then you can leave them while you're here. And it's only $1.99 is the lowest tier, and I have over 30 videos that you can watch in my playlist as well. And I did 4 different ones this week as well. But I'll see you guys soon, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you take advantage. I'll just remind you, take advantage of, if you're just tuning in, take advantage of the free download. It's in my description, where you can download not only an inventory list that you can keep, but also the notes for what I was talking about. So you can start, because I really want you guys to be proactive and to be prepared for anything that may happen with your family. So go ahead and download it and make sure not only are you looking at the remedies and trying to get them, making them, but then also keeping track of it as well. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Please share the video and hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.